Hey all, Brad here with another quick video, hopefully. On the bench today, I've got a Robotron board set with the linear power supply. Customer of mine, Dave, sent in, I did a previous video, he sent in a Moon Patrol board set with a linear power supply, and then a Robotron that's on the bench now and a Joust that's coming up next. I actually have it all done. So I'm just doing the video, following up with the videos. I did the photos. I'm going to probably put those down in the uh, description of the video. I'll put a link to the Google Photo album, which has before pictures, in process, and then after, and then the video here that you're seeing is the kind of the final step for me on it. So let me switch over to the bench cam. I'll go over what I did on the power supply and the boards, and then from there I'll do some gameplay and we'll go through diagnostics and get this wrapped up. So let me go ahead and switch over to the bench cam. And I am running all the boards since he sent the whole thing on plates that I have here. So um, starting off with the heat sink back here. So I do pull both of the transistors off. The top one here is a 2N60, either 5.7 or 5.9. And then the rear is for the 12 volts, was a 2N3055. Um, I pull these out, clean them up real good. I put new sill pads underneath them. They're really good at conducting heat, but they do electrically isolate. And then I always put a new Molex connector with the Trifurcon pins. And I fully load test these. I think I've shown on my bench before, but I've got a dual channel load tester. So I run these things at double the normal running current on both the 5 and 12 volts for 4, 5, 6 hours, something like that. They get real toasty hot. And if they pass that, they're going to last years and years and years to come. Here's the linear power supply. I do have it powered up. You can see the bright green LEDs I put on there. All new Molex headers, new bridge rectifier with a custom heat sink right here. I put a small heat sink over here on the -5 volt, which was never on there. I came across a bunch of these I bought, and I think it helps. All new electrolytics, as I mentioned, socketed both of the regulators, the voltage regulators. I put a 10-turn precision pot here so you can really dial in the 5 volts. And typically when you're adjusting this, you don't want to measure here at your the gray wires, these last four, the 5 volt output, and then you've got a bank of grounds, and then your 12 volts, and this end one is the -5. But you don't really want to measure here. Maybe initially to set it up, I would set it like 5.1 here, because what happens is even if you're at 5.1 here, by the time it gets through the harness, all the voltage drop in the harness, it makes it over to the soundboard and the MPU and that, you're going to get voltage drop. And depending on how good your connections are and the wire gauge and all that, you might end up pushing the threshold of 4.7, 4.8 volts. So what I recommend doing is adjusting that voltage as real close to 5, 4.95, 4.99 at one of the RAM on the MPU that's kind of furthest away from the power connector. So position 1-8 would be a good recommendation. So anyway, this thing's rock solid, fully. It got a bass stripped down. Everything's new on it, ready to go. Soundboard, no major smoking guns here. All new Molex headers, all new electrolytic caps. Socketed CPU here, 6808 was pulled. The 4K 2532 EEPROM was pulled. I recrimp all of the fuse holders. I clean the fuses with Scotch Brite pad. I put new thermal compound underneath the 7805 voltage regulator and the TDA 2002 audio amplifier here. I put a new bridge rectifier in all of these boards when I do them. Clean the legs, straighten them, deoxid on them a little thin layer, and then of course they're fully tested as well. So soundboard's rock solid now. And then coming down to the game boards here, we've got the ROM board. Again, I pull all the socketed chips. You'll see in the, if you take a look at the photos, I pull the special chips, put a new ribbon cable in it. This one actually had a mod from the factory with a riser here where they put a resistor array in, pull-up resistors, 4.7K, and it just sits up real high. I don't like it, so I mount this down on the board, and then I put some 808 real small SMT surface mount 4.7K resistors to pull up for all of the pins on this. On the later boards, they actually added a little SIP pull-up resistor network, kind of like these ones that they use on the I/O board here on the widget. So anyway, those are all new. All the Molex headers are new. We've got new Nichicon filter caps here for the power coming in. So ROM board's rock solid. I/O board, no smoking gun here. Everything was actually good. Got a new ribbon cable, new filter cap, and two new 10-pin Molex headers. and then wiped up, cleaned up, obviously. And then on the MPU here, got all new Molex headers, new caps. We've got a tantalum here for the soft start. I did put the 4.7 volt diode in that monitors that supply voltage. If it drops below 4.7, it'll pull the CPU and the rest of the board into reset. We've got the new battery holder on here. Got rid of the old AA. Made it real nice and neat. This is the CR2450, which is 24 millimeter diameter by 5.0 millimeters thick, which has about 3 times the milliamp hour capacity of a CR2032. And then this is a Rev B board, and on the Rev B there was a bodge wire that was done from the factory that goes along the top with a couple wires, real messy. Anyway, I make a little board that sits on the back that does the inversion for the BA, the bus available, to tell the blitters that the bus is available. Much cleaner than on this original board. So this board's got fully bathed and cleaned up and is running rock solid. So let's switch over and we'll do some gameplay. I'm going to shut the board off because I had it on so you could see the lights on the power supply. Okay, so again, I've got a little remote control on the bench. What's on the screen is just some artifacts from the CGA to VGA converter. When I power it up, we should get a nice rug pattern. Yeah, so that, again, what you're seeing here is the RAM being tested right now, and it's just, as it's being tested, anything that goes into the RAM gets rendered out to the screen. So, and you can see it boots right into a track mode. I'm going to grab my little PlayStation controller here that I have mapped for Robotron. I'm going to coin it up and then hit start here. I tend to preference this, that I'm much better fixing boards than I am at playing the game. And in all honesty, I probably enjoy fixing them more than I do playing them, unfortunately. Robotron's probably one of my favorites, but anyway, you can see she's playing real good. I'm going to drop into diagnostics here. Whoops, I went into the track. Let me just hit the advance button. So all ROMs are good. What it does when you hit that first test, it goes in and it reads all of the contents on each EEPROM and calculates a checksum and compares it with stored values to make sure they're all good. And then it jumps right into a RAM test here. So it's just randomly writing data out and reading it back and checking it. And it'll run a long time. You can run this test kind of like a burn-in test just to make sure there's no problems. And then when you exit it, it'll tell you no RAM errors were detected. Then we go in and test the CMOS RAM, no problems there. Sound, we can loop through some of these. And after 6, it'll go back to 1. Again, what it's really doing, the reason there's 6 is it's able to test each bit that goes out, because this is the output on the ROM board. There's 6 lines that drive the soundboard with a parallel input, binary input. So, I popped a ground off here real quick on this. Let me hook this back up. Switch tests, so I'll go through these real quick. Again, I do test these I/O boards with a splat board set where I can test all 18 inputs. So I did that first, but and then I obviously go through and test it with the game as well. But there's up, down, left, right for move, and then up, down, left, right for fire, and we've got player 1 start and left point, and all the other ones work too. So, and then here's your grid lines where you set your convergence for the monitor, solid red, green, and blue, and then we go into color bars after that. And then bookkeeping data, this will tell you again, this is, you can access this menu through the bottom coin vault. There's a little hole drilled in the wood that the operators would go in and press that button and it would pull up the screen and they could see how many quarters were put in. And basically what they would do is like the kids working in the arcade, the 18-year-olds or whatever, that would get jam coins out and all that kind of stuff, maybe add some credits for somebody if they, said, hey, I put a quarter in. They had a key and an access to that upper coin door, but the coin vault where the money was at typically was keyed differently. And then, the adults, if you will, that would come through to empty those coin boxes would open that. They could reach in, hit the button that would pull this bookkeeping screen up and make sure that, they weren't being ripped off. If it had 200 quarters dropped, they better have 200 in the bucket, right? So they would just write on a slip of paper, put it in the bucket, probably swap it out, and then when they got to an automatic coin counter, they dump it in and make sure the numbers tallied up, I think. So, and then the next screen here is where you go into your configuration or your game adjustments. You can set free play here, track message, all the different coinage, and when the track mode if you want the fancy one, and how hard the play is and all that kind of stuff here. And then we just drop right back into a track mode. So that's going to wrap the video up. This board has had, oh boy, at least 48 hours on the bench. I have a couple calls, arcade-based calls for the FPGA cat box and some other stuff on Tuesdays, and that start basically when I get home from work. So I typically I'm not able to do any repair work on Tuesdays usually because I'm on calls pretty late. So this was running the whole time. So it's probably got 48 hours at least on the bench. So anyway, wrap it up. Thanks for watching. I'm going to basically do a Joust video right after this. So they're probably going to post within an hour or so of each other. So keep an eye out for that. Thanks for watching.